I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booty.
Colby and Chip and Ghosty.
Got a text from Dirk. He said, "Yo, Vin, there's a new Slipknot song out." So here we go. Also, for timely topical political commentary, you can hit us up in Middle America with Vin and Sori.
That's where the firesides are too, or if you want to hang out with us on a live stream.
Fash off. Birth of the Cruel,
Check
Slipknot.
out the link in the description and you can find our gear. And if you send us a picture of you wearing any of our gear, we will feature you in one of our videos.
I'm just a Judas, looking for a silver line, and tomorrow still a step behind. Hey, drama, I don't believe you're wasting your time. Oh no, thanks so much for wasting mine. So hear me out. Let's hear it for the damage who understands but the broken, developed in the arms of fight. I'm all fucked up and I'll make it look good. Adrenaline sight tonight. I'm overthrown. I'm over your throne. I'm over it sick. I'm sickening, mother fist. Blushing all the fires that have burned me. Listen to this, the lesson is never underestimate the agony. Death of the fool, birth of the cruel. Remember I spent the best part of forever in a state of pure disease. There was another thing altogether to forget that you brought out the worst in me. Hey, karma, you don't feel like I do. You just wish you'd hate like I do. We are the better, the maladjusted and wise, fighting up a generation to update. We're all dressed up with nobody to kill. The rhetoric stops tonight. I'm over your I'm sickening, I'm stricken by the fist. Blushing all the fires that have burned me. Listen to this, the lesson is never underestimate the agony. Death of the fool, birth of the ground.
Okay, let's go.
Now's not the time for denying. Shifting the focus to stare. Let's not forget we're all guilty. All three dimensions polluted by earnest despair. I'm over your
Wow. That was really good.
That was like old school Slipknot from like the first record.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not the first record, but the self-titled record. Good Lord. Okay, so this is like the third time I've talked about this band and the beef with Chris.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, I keep talking about it, but I mean, it says right there,
I'm just Judas looking for a silver line.
I'm just a Judas looking for a silver line, which of course Judas is a traitor. Mm-hmm. And silver, you know, he sold Jesus out for 30 pieces of silver, but he's looking for a silver line. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So, because they were beefing, the beef was about money. You know, that Chris brought up that he wasn't getting paid the same amount as everybody else. So, the opening is, let him crave understanding, let him crave your wisdom, let him crave something, Father, your self-control, which I'm assuming is, that sounds like a prayer.
Yeah.
From like TBN or something. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, I totally didn't, like, I was totally not thinking about their beef when we were listening to this. I thought this was just like somebody that had come to the point where they were like, you know, the bad things that happened to them, they were gonna like let that work for them instead. Like the, you know, like where it says the death of the fool, the birth of like something cruel or something like that, the birth of the cruel, like.
Yeah.
I just thought it was just like everything that ever happened to them that conspired to bring them to that place. Like they're finally at the point where they're not going to let it ruin them anymore, but now they're going to use that to like be the type of person that it created.
Because of the line, blessed are the fires that have burned me.
Yeah, I mean
Is
there was
that
multiple
line?
things. Yeah. Yep, that.
What else gave you that?
Well, where was it talking about karma? Whoops.
Karma was the second verse, right?
You scroll past it. Yeah, I think so. Let's hear it for the damaged, who understands but the broken, developed in the arms of spite. I'm all effed up and I make it look good. Adrenaline sight tonight. See, that to me was just, you know, I'm a broken person. Like everybody that's had a rough life, that's had to go through stuff, understands what this is like. There's the karma thing.
Hey, Karma, you don't feel like I do. You just wish you'd hate like I do.
Yeah. Well, remember how you spent the best part of forever in a state of pure disease? It was another thing altogether to forget that you brought out the worst in me. So I just thought that was just like you spent like just feeling like life was running you. Like, and it was talking about drama too, you know what I mean? Like that life was telling you where you were gonna go. Life was gonna dictate to you how it was gonna be. But now, and you felt like, you know, you were in a state of pure disease. But then, like, I just felt like, I thought he was just saying, but I'm not doing that anymore, you know? He says down here, but we are the bitter, the maladjusted, the wise, fight off a generation too uptight. We're all dressed up with no one to kill. The rhetoric stops tonight. Yeah, I thought that was about. So you were getting their beef out of this?
Well, the Judas thing and the silver lining thing.
But he said, I'm just a Judas.
Well, yeah, but that's...
You think he was speaking for him?
Yeah, artists, you know, I don't think like necessarily the entire song needs to be about him per se. Like me, like, you know, if I write something and I'm writing a certain thing, I'll like throw in a sub here and there. Nobody will know what I'm talking about except for the people that I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when he said silver line, what were you thinking?
Well,
like silver lining?
I thought it was a double entendre because usually the term silver lining is there's a silver lining to every bad, you know, every dark cloud or whatever. But when he says, I'm just a Judas looking for a silver line, that, you know, Judas sold Jesus out for silver. So there is that.
He also hung himself.
You know, somebody's a traitor.
Yeah.
Right? So whether he's talking himself as being a traitor, it's just hard not to talk about the Chris situation because I'm sure Corey feels like he's been betrayed for money.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because this dude aired out the entire band and took all this stuff public over money.
I know, yeah.
And again, I don't have an opinion either way. I don't know enough facts. I don't know how it all works. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I always thought with 9 people that, the money situation would be an issue.
Yeah.
Just knowing human nature. But, Wu-Tang Clan at one point had 8, 14, 15 people in it, and they never had one of those. At least they never had to go public.
Well, that was my thing, was the public nature of it. I don't know if he went to them privately and tried to resolve it and then brought it out, or because some people are just quick to the draw and just bring something public, and then the other people are like, wait, I didn't even realize you had an issue.
Right. Right.
But now I know.
Right.
And so does everyone else.
I'm just a Judas looking for a silver line, and tomorrow is still a step behind. So I looked at that like, it's like, oh, the silver lining will come tomorrow, but tomorrow is not coming. Like, there is no silver line for you. Like, it's over, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, drama, I'd love to be a waste of your time. Oh, no, thanks so much for wasting mine. See what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of drama over silver. Mm-hmm. There's a trader, there's silver, and then there's drama and waste of time, which is what people usually say when they say, I'm not going to engage.
Yeah.
I'm not going to engage with you. You're wasting my time. So I'm not saying like the entire song is about him, but certainly the first verse looks to be about that issue for me. How did you interpret verse 1?
I just thought everybody at their point has been a Judas. You know what I mean? Like,
see, I don't think that Corey believes that. And I don't think that most people believe that. I don't think most people would ever say that they've been a Judas at one point in their life. I think that most people would avoid saying that about themselves. Have you ever heard anybody say that they're a Judas?
No, everybody always wants to be the victim.
Yeah, everybody wants to be Jesus in the situation.
Yeah.
I've very rarely heard anybody say that they're Judas. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's true.
So it just seems to me to be he's talking about somebody who he felt betrayed him over money.
Yeah, I remember when we first started like working with a bunch of different people downtown, and I remember you like there was this person that I met, and she was like. Her stories were, she was like a victim all the time and a hero all the time.
Yep.
I was like, whoa, like, and I believed all the stories that she was saying because it was kind of more toward the beginning, and I hadn't realized like how normal that is as far as human nature goes to like want to be the victim and the hero. And like, I remember I brought her to you, and I was like, you have to meet this person, and then like, and you like had this strange look on your face, like nobody else would have been able to pick up that it was a strange look, but I like asked you later, and then you were like, well, Bean, have you noticed that she's always the victim and she's always the hero, she never does anything wrong, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's true, and then I was like, oh my gosh, and then it took some time before I realized that that's typical of people when they're presenting stories, is to like always want to be the good guy. I never actually, when I was there, of all the people that I talked to, didn't hear anybody say that they did wrong. It was always somebody else's fault, or...
Well, I mean, after a while...
I'm saying in just like conversations where they were telling their life stories. Like there were times where like, people were in a state of like, okay, like I've... You know what I'm saying? Like...
Well, I think people are more willing to own their faults if they know that they're not going to be judged or excised from the community. Mm-hmm. So like, when we were doing the Bible boogie and we were talking about sin, and I said, who's ever done something they felt guilty about, and people started, whereas if people are more apt to go, well, yeah, of course. But if you go, you nasty, rotten, da da da, they're gonna get all defensive.
Well, I think a lot of times people are walking around with guilt about something, whether they admit it or not.
Right.
And some of these situations that the people had found themselves in, like some people had, lost their kids because of a certain lifestyle, and then like they wanted to blame the landlord, or they wanted to blame this person. Like there was all other people they wanted to blame for it, and I think that it's hard sometimes to admit that you took part in a situation that happened to you. It's easier to think I was a victim of circumstances that were outside of my control, rather than realizing that you yourself had a hand in it, and so you are part of the reason you're in the situation that you're in. Although if people can admit that, you're more likely to be able to find your way out of that situation,
right,
and into a better one.
Right. Right, which is kind of like the consensus we came to at the Bible Boogie. It was just, you know,
Right.
and you know, we were looking at, because people were talking about, like, you know, one of the big questions, why is all the sacrifice, why all the blood in the Old Testament and obviously in the New Testament with Jesus, what's going on there? And, you know, I'm like, but when you talk to people about the things that have been done to them, and you see that a simple, I'm sorry, doesn't fix a lot of things.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I interpreted the first verse. It's sad, you know, like, whether or not the first verse is about Chris, it's just sad that, you know, these are people that you've been following for, you know, since high school. And, you know, you want to see them doing well and thriving and getting along. And because, you know, with the band, you know, those guys, you grow up with them, kind of. So it's hard to see if that's what it's about. But it's hard for me not to think at least the first verse is about that, because of the Judas angle and the silver angle. It's just like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
and then verse 2, let's hear it for the damage. Who understands but the broken, developed in the arms of spite? Adrenaline sight tonight. Okay, so both, like this verse and then this verse where he mentions tonight. He mentions tonight in verse 2 and verse 4. It looks like he's using his on-stage persona to get through a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
We are the bitter, the maladjusted and wise, fighting off a generation too uptight. We're all dressed up with nobody to kill. The rhetoric stops tonight.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're gonna go and crush it on the show. You know, they're gonna kill it on the show.
Yep.
Which of course is kind of ironic considering the weekend we just had in America. I'm sure their release date, they already had this release date pre-planned, but considering
I know.
the hell we've just been through in America,
Yeah.
you know, like the Dayton shooter could have said that, you know, dressed up, nobody to kill, but the rhetoric stops tonight, which of course, I always say about bands like Slipknot and Marilyn Manson that they have stopped probably dozens and dozens of school shootings and active shooter situations by giving people a outlet in a community to where, you know, we are the bitter, the maladjusted and wise, fighting off a generation too uptight. So I know that a person's probably going to look at this and go, oh, this is, you know, somebody tried to blame violent video games for these guys. And I'm like, stuff like this actually keeps people from doing stuff like what we saw over the weekend. I really believe that. So, you know,
I think
Go
that
ahead.
I almost think that it can work either way. Like, I don't think that it only prevents those situations. I think that it can be the theme song. And not necessarily this song, but I think that there are songs that have been theme songs for people that have encouraged them to do certain acts, just the same as violent video games. I think if you're predisposed to a certain type of behavior, then those things are going to kind of funnel you in that direction.
yeah, I just know somebody who Slipknot, I firmly believe, kept them from doing. I mean, and we were there with the person, and you know, we were, you know, there for them, and we could talk them off the ledge. But if it wasn't for Slipknot, I think that something bad would happen. Maybe not a school shooting. Well, I mean, I don't know. We're in the Bronx, so I definitely see that being an eventuality. I'm glad that she had Slipknot.
I
Say it
think
that
I'm
way.
thinking about there's a certain person, obviously not saying it out loud for a reason, but there's a certain person that we're working with that because of the things that they've been viewing, they're more
Right.
leaning toward
Right.
actions that they have not done until they were viewing those things.
That's true.
So
That's true.
And actually the start of that person, the start of all of that, they point to actually a video game.
Yeah. Again, I think video games and TV and YouTube is different than music, because music is, again, it's we are the bitter, the knowledge. It makes you feel
You're
like
part of something.
you're not alone.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the big
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Is not being alone. Because when
Yeah.
people feel like they're completely isolated and alone in the way they feel and nobody can relate to them, watch out. We're in trouble. Remember how you spent the best part of forever in a state of pure disease? It was another thing altogether to forget that you brought out the worst in me. Hey Karma, you don't feel like I do, you just wish you'd hate like I do. So again, I'm thinking about Chris in that situation because, you know, the best part of Forever in a State of Pure Disease says to me, like,
There's been issues for a long time.
well, you know, when you're in a band or when you're in a certain group, it's like, forever, we're going to be together forever. And I think what he's saying is that the best parts of their ascendancy, you were always a problem.
Yeah.
And you brought out the worst in me. As a matter of fact, I saw a video clip one time of Corey, like, yelling and screaming at somebody, and I'm pretty sure it was Chris. Remember that one where Corey was yelling and he's like, I'm so pissed at you right now?
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was Chris. So, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
it seems that they've always had, you know.
Some drama.
Yeah. It seems like they always had some issues. Of course, now I'm looking for it. I can't find it. But, yeah, it was backstage. And Corey was going off on the guy, and I was like, oh. But which, of course, every band,
Maybe it got taken down.
every
Whatever
band,
was going on.
yeah, there it is right there. No, he was pissed at Sid. It was Sid. It wasn't. When he was, I'm so mad at you. It wasn't Chris. It was Sid. I'm looking at it right here. So I don't know. Maybe he's saying that you know, even in their best moments, the person was bringing out the worst in them and all the rest of it. Hey Karma, you don't feel like I do. You just wish you'd hate like I do. I don't understand that line.
And because karma is just
You know,
what
that goes
happens,
around,
yeah.
comes around. Yeah.
But maybe when he's saying it, like karma is being pushed around by the situations. Like karma doesn't make the decisions, and maybe he's saying you just like, remember how before he was talking about like he comes to the point where he's like he's gonna, remember how, where was it, where he's basically gonna start doing something. He's not gonna be the fool anymore, birth of the cruel, stuff like that, death of the fool, birth of the cruel. Like maybe it was you feeling like you're always on this, you're always being pushed around by certain situations and stuff, but finally you're gonna be the cruel one, like you're gonna step up and you're gonna get in control of the situation.
Right.
So maybe he's looking at karma is being told what to do all the time, and he's basically speaking to karma like, wouldn't you wish that you were like me and that you could hate too, so that way you could do something rather than just being...
Yeah, because the death of the fool is the birth of the cruel. It basically means,
Yeah.
you know, I've been a fool to just
Yep.
kind of let this stuff go, but now I'm really going to go light it up.
Yep.
You know, like that you've just given birth to a cruel person.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm gonna be a cruel person. You haven't seen Cruel. Yeah. I used to be like that. And Zoe's like that. You know, like, you know, Zoe's not gonna let any... I don't think it's a good character trait.
No.
But it's kind of a character trait that happens with people who are very, very soft-hearted and kind. I always tell people, like, this is one of my proverbs, like, the person you have to worry about is a person that's nice and is always good to you and loving to you. If that person turns against you, forget it.
Yeah.
You know, the person that, like, lashes out at everybody all the time, like, to turn that person against you, it's no big deal. But to turn a person who is a loving, kind, soft-hearted person to you, and you turn that person against you, forget it. You know, there's no coming back. So that's always been a, you know, and I you know, I think there's like an elephant in the room as regards to Chris, which is basically, you have been beating a beer keg for 20 years. And I've been writing and singing, and Jim and Mick have been doing guitar stuff, and, you know, even Sean, even though he just, you know, hits the barrel, he's like the architect of the band, and he was the one that got them set up with all the A&R stuff. So it's just you know, it's one of those things where you kind of feel like I've been carrying you along. Like I've given you a, if it wasn't for us, like all you do is hit a beer keg, you're a millionaire. Like what's the problem? And I think, you know, it's kind of like you feel like you're kind of, it's a weird situation where you're kind of above the person and you've kind of done the person a favor, but nobody's saying it. But it's kind of like, and then for you to be the one, it'd be different if Jim, who's like a guitar, you know, I think he's one of the best guitarists right now. If he were to come out and say something, that's one thing. But the guy who hits
Right.
the, like,
Right.
you know, and it's a weird dynamic of like, you know, we're all equals, but we're not really equal, and you know, everybody in the band needs everybody else. I heard them say that for years, and I'm like, well, I mean, if Corey didn't show up on in a tour, I'd have a problem. If Jim didn't show up, I'd have a serious problem. But the guy who hits the thing, I mean, it wouldn't be the same, but it's not like it would really hurt the band that much. Go ahead.
Well, there's like some people that I've seen it happen like a number of times where I guess the more mature person that kind of sees things as they are is saying, oh, you know, you're a part of the team, you know, they want to encourage that person and stuff like that. It's not like they're going to be like, listen, I'm obviously better than you than this, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I'm doing the majority of the workload, but, you know, still feel good about yourself. So they're trying to encourage the person and stuff. And then I've seen like where people like get I don't know, what would you, like they don't have a clear picture of exactly who they are and what they're doing. So then they begin to get like a swelled head and think that they're actually more important than they actually literally are in what the event is or whatever's happening. So, and I'm not sure what type of personality that happens to, but they do have like some similarities to them, those people that like get an overinflated idea of who they are and what they're accomplishing and not realizing that, you know what I mean? Like people are trying to encourage them and, you know, help them, and it's...
Right, which is what I got from the I'm overthrown, I'm over your throne, I'm overthrown, I'm over it.
Yeah.
And then the outro, let him crave understanding, let him crave your wisdom, let him crave Father, self-control, then he can see and look at the enemy, and not today, sucker, go back to hell where you belong. So yeah, this is some prayer against the devil, and she's praying for someone to get wisdom and understanding and self-control, and then she's telling the devil to go back to hell where he belongs. So, you know, the song may be about, to your point, I think they're both true, like, blessed are the fires that have burned me. But the lesson that he's taking from all of the pain and suffering he's gone through is, I'm gonna get reborn into a cruel person. I'm not doing this anymore, because whenever I'm nice, or whenever I'm, you know, being a compassionate person, he's calling, you know, being a fool. And he's had too many situations where too many people have flipped on him, so now he's going to be a cruel person. I get that mentality. I absolutely do. Obviously, from our perspective, you know, that's not a good thing. And the other thing is that I heard a lot of really kind-hearted, soft-hearted people say that, like, I'm gonna be, but they can't. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think
that's what I was thinking. Like, a truly cruel person probably doesn't go around saying they're cruel.
Right. Right. Like, I don't think he's always gonna be who he is. He's always been a good, compassionate, soft-hearted person. I remember the whole, you know, believe what you want about whose fault it is, but when the whole kids in cages thing started, Corey was very, very vocal about it. You know, so like, he's just a compassionate person, and he's never not going to be able to be that. Maybe he's going to be cruel to certain people, but I don't think that's in his nature. But it's something where he's got to, you know, kind of work through, and this is all part of it, I suppose. All right, well, what do you give the song?
It's a 10 for me.
10? I don't think it was
Really enjoyed it.
It wasn't as good as Solway Firth. So I'll give it a 9.1. This is definitely going to be a banger, though. If they play this live, it's going to definitely be a banger, especially that middle part.
Yeah, I hope they do.
That middle part that I wanted from Korn came about in this one. So I really appreciate it. Good song. So what do you give it?
10.
All right. 9.2. All right. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.